Hello and welcome to Top 5's, the show of everything. Top 5s, presented by the Sex Effects. I'm Joey Prouty.
And I'm Sean Day.
And folks, we have a morbidly playable show for you this evening. What does that mean? You might find out. But before we get to all the morbidity, Jonathan Day, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing okay, man. Just it's not much going on this week. Just kind of chilling and excited to podcast this week. We got a cool couple topics to talk about today. Still getting pretty deep into the Outer Worlds, playing some games. That's pretty much it. Nothing too crazy right now. But continuing to self-isolate and stay caffeinated, I guess.
Fuck, tell me about it. I'm up to like an entire pot of coffee a day.
Yeah, the coffee game is
1:30. I'm like
the coffee game is real for sure right now. Been trying to drink some tea though lately. One, because I feel like every time I have coffee, especially like later in the day, sometimes I don't have it in the morning, but just kind of midday, I'm like wired for the rest of the day. So yeah. But
you ever
anyways,
have coffee that like cancels each other out? Like you're on like an up, and then you're like one more cup of coffee, and it sends you just crashing.
I've been there. Yeah, that's why I can only take like one cup of coffee these days. It'll just do me good, do me right there. So,
I go through about 3 or 4 cups of my giant 22-ounce Batman mug.
Yeah, I remember that mug.
Yeah, I got it with you at Warner Brothers.
Yeah. But coffee's been a necessity, I would say, lately. Everything's cool. I've just been, just playing some video games, cleaning around the house. Joey and I've been talking off air about blind issues, and we mentioned our last podcast we're going to be kind of working on some music. So just excited to kind of get some of those things going, and and then again wishing everyone hopefully everyone's safe and sound, and that's pretty much it. Joey, how you doing this week?
I'm doing all right, doing good. Got to see our good buddy Andrew over the weekend, along with our friend from high school, Michael Conti. It was very good to catch up, and we social distantly played some bocce ball, which was quite fun out here in the sunset. So got a wicked tan on my neck. I got scorched, but it was fun, and now it's just work, right?
Yes.
And trying to balance work and creativity and staying up late and getting up early and doing all that kind of fun stuff. And I'm finally starting to feel like gotta cut something out. Maybe it's dinner. I don't know. But yeah, so not bad.
Right.
Some interesting news in terms of entertainment, which is what we deal in on this TV show, this this podcast. What is this anymore?
Podcast? Now we're on YouTube, so yeah, for sure. I guess a YouTube
what am I doing?
podcast.
Man, it's like the Joe Rogan experience. It's powerful. Let's see. So it was announced that on HBO Max we are going to be getting a Gotham PD TV show brought to us from Matt Reeves, who is directing the new Solo, The Batman, with Robert Pattinson. This is crazy. This is so. Let's just pump the brakes just a little bit here. We are getting. Let's go back even further. Let's go back. We had, the first 4 films, right? Ended in 1997, 96, 97. I'm pretty sure 97. Yeah. We didn't have another Batman again until 2005. It was 8 years later. Okay, good. Christian Bale finishes up in 2012, Dark Knight Rises. And then we got BVS they announced in 2013, and we didn't get it until March of 2016. And since then, Batman has been in Suicide Squad and Justice League, and now, they it was all up in the air. Is Ben Affleck coming back or not? He was going to direct his own Batman movie, and then he wasn't. Then he was going to keep starring in it, but then he wasn't. We're getting a whole new Batman with Robert Pattinson, who's not connected to the previous DCEU, even though that was never an official name. So this Batman apparently doesn't know Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and the Flash. So, okay, that's what's going on with the Batman property. But then we get a spin-off like Joker. Oh, okay, yeah, sure. Like, yeah, I guess we'll take Joker. All right. People seem to like it. I don't understand, but people seem to like it. You rated it as your number one movie last year. Okay. We also had the Gotham TV show wrap up last year before that.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of Batman, is what I'm trying to say. And so I'm gearing up for Robert Pattinson as Batman. I'm trying to psych myself up because I only know him as the Twilight guy. I liked him in The Lighthouse. Let's see what happens. And then we get the announcement that we're going to get Zack Snyder's Justice League. What? The Snyder Cut is happening, and they're pouring like $60 million into it to finish it up. So we're going to be getting Ben Affleck's Batman on screen the same year as Robert Pattinson's Batman on screen. Okay. But then they announced that Michael Keaton is coming back as Batman in a Flash movie for the same year or the year after. What? And now, apparently this is set before Batman or Bruce Wayne comes back to Gotham, but we're getting a Gotham PD TV show. This news would normally, I'd be like, yes, if you ever read, was it Gotham Central, Gotham PD, the book that Ed Brubaker did. It was so good. It was all about the police officers in Gotham City.
Yeah.
Timing of this is a little weird. It feels a little crowded. Too much Batman right now, and I'm a Batman nut, but too much Batman. Give the character a bit of breathing room here. And I'm sorry, but it's the wrong time to be doing a TV show about cops right now. I don't want to see that shit. I don't care how sympathetic you make them. I don't want to watch that.
Yeah.
And then if we're also going to get even more nitpicky, the track record for this character is not very good. We've had Batman Returns, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises, Batman v Superman, Suicide Squad, if you kind of count it, and Justice League. And only 2.5 or 3 of those movies were any good. And then the Gotham TV show was just a fucking travesty. Joker is a well-made, not my cup of tea. Like, I can admit, like, hey, yeah, wow, you got your leaves like locally and organically sourced, and you're using the right amount of cream and sugar, but it still tastes incredibly bland to me. That's okay. So I don't know what we're in for, what to expect, or why does this need to happen right now? This is what Gotham, the TV show, should have been. And I think it was going to be that. And then they started inserting Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle and all the villains into it. Mm-hmm. So that's really my take. I'm just exacerbated. I'm like, what is going on? I want to hear your take, though.
I agree with you. I feel like there's plenty of cop-based shows out there. Actually, one that I really enjoyed was Watchmen on HBO. Yeah. And what I liked about that one, it was very self-contained. Like, they're not going to do any more Watchmen TV shows after that. And so I liked it for what it was there. But yeah, there's a lot of shows that, there's a lot of there's still like medical shows. There's still, I know people still watch that kind of stuff, but yeah. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to really do with something like this. If it's going to be something that will, since it's produced by Matt Reeves, like, will it somehow connect to the new movie
I think
series?
the intention is that it connects to Robert Pattinson's world.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. There's a lot of. I mean, I'm still on the side of like I don't know why they're continuing with the kind of previous Flashpoint, and that's where I'm like, okay, you guys just need to like just ditch that, or like
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's gonna really. I mean, it sounds interesting, and if it's something to do with like especially the Flash and time travel or whatever it is.
People will watch it, and the certain sect of fandom that is kind of, I don't want to judge it before it's out, but that's clearly what I'm gonna do, so I'll just do it. The certain sectum of fandom that just gobbles up, references and fan service, like they're gonna fucking go nuts for it. I believe that that's what it's going to turn out to be. Hope I'm wrong. I don't think that I am though.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah.
I think you're right, man. I just, it's kind of, just trying to figure out like what's the real kind of plan for this. And I must admit even with Marvel, of course there's like just an oversaturation. There's a lot of content coming out, and, as audiences we're getting used to that. And I do miss the times when we used to get like excited for even some of the past Batman films that were kind of shit, but like, I
We'd be
miss
excited
kind
for
of getting,
years.
yeah, having that time to wait, and I think obviously that's especially in our entertainment culture now with streaming and everything. It's very immediate, and that a lot of people are kind of used to that. I still love even when shows like Game of Thrones are on. I love the weekly, watching something per week, and if
Yeah.
it's something like HBO, like I could see that can bring people who are DC fans or Batman fans, but also people who are looking for that weekly kind of per week show to get kind of excited about. So, but yeah, I don't know. It sounds super messy to me.
It sounds very messy. And I do think I want to give the general audience credit and say that they would be able to follow, okay, Ben Affleck's Batman is not Robert Pattinson's Batman, and who is not Michael Keaton's Batman, who is not Val Kilmer, who is, you know what I mean? I want to believe. But if you have this TV show connects to that movie, and this movie connects to those movies, but not this movie. And once you start playing continuity police with it, that's where people get tripped up. And, I mean, you're going to have people like my parents who are like, oh, wait, the Christian Bale Batman isn't the same. He didn't kill the Joker in Batman 89. No, it's different, like.
It's a different, yeah.
Jack Nicholson couldn't even wrap his brain around. I mean, poor guy. I think he has dementia. But like, when they announced Dark Knight, he was pissed that he wasn't asked back to be the Joker. And it's like, well, this is different. This is not your. This is not that. Like, you know what I mean? And I think you're going to have a lot of that with the general audience. More so, they are getting used to the idea with things like Endgame, Into the Spider-Verse, of these. Okay, there can be multiple interpretations within a universe at the same time, and multiple universes, blah, 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 blah. But I think they're betting a little more than they should with what they're doing with DC, because these characters are not established. They're not well-loved. They're not recognized other than Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. Aquaman made $1 billion, but I don't see a lot of people talking about that. The conversation didn't really continue. The Flash, I think people are really kind of 50-50 on. It's not like Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr., or Chris Evans, Captain America, where like people adore, you know what I mean, this version of that character.
Yeah.
So it's a hard sell. It's a really hard sell.
It is a hard sell because I know you, I liked the Joker film, but that was kind of what I liked about it the most was it's the self-contained story, and I thought they were kind of going to lean on that a little bit more, as far as like, hey, we don't have to have everything connected. We can kind of tell these individualized stories, still kind of add somewhat to the character in a way, but it doesn't have to tie in, and you don't have, that's the whole continuity thing, right? Like that, being tied to that, and eventually building on that. And I could already tell if this Flashpoint thing goes through and they end up like, hey, everything's connected. I just feel like this is gonna be an even bigger mess, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
it's like it kind of interrupts your suspension of disbelief to a certain point, doesn't it? It works in a cartoon.
It does.
It works very well in a cartoon. But if okay, let's say they say, okay, everything from Keaton to Bale to Affleck, it's all connected. All of them are in this universe labeled this, blah, 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 blah. Retroactively, and this is a minor nitpick and probably only coming from someone this like who is going to break it down like this. Retroactively, that is going to damper and lessen my experience watching the self-contained stories like Dark Knight, like Batman Begins, because I would be thinking, oh, okay, this is happening at the same time as that other Batman in that other universe because Warner Brothers had to come out and make a fucking announcement about it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that is going to be
I agree.
going through my head as I'm watching these films, and let them be unto themselves, please. Like, the comics can be comics, the movies can be movies. They do not have to replicate each other. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool when you get close, and Marvel's gotten very close. But that's not. I just want a good story and good characters, please. Mm-hmm. That's all we give a shit about at the end of the day.
And that's that's been a tough one with like even superhero movies, right? Like I feel like they, even reflecting on some of the Marvel ones, it has its formula. It has there are still likable characters, and I guess props to Marvel for being able to like one take us through, and we're having Captain America and that character grow throughout the series, so you again build that attachment to him. But it gets a little messy when you're trying to kind of take things that already exist and make it kind of work for it. So
well, you're fitting a round peg into a square hole, right? Like
it's that thought. So, but
I
don't know. I mean, we'll have to see what if it is something like this show can give us kind of an introduction into the next Batman universe and what that's going to be like. I'm down to check out the show for that reason, to see, okay, this is probably, and that's kind of an interesting thing too, because that might set up the expectations for the movie that's going to be coming out with Robert Pattinson and having that kind of new trilogy. So I am curious to see if these things are somewhat connected. What's Gotham going to look like? What's how they're going to kind of paint the city and kind of set that up. And so I think I would probably watch it just for that reason alone. Whether or not I would be super attached to the characters in the show, and I don't really know who's in the show. And you know what? I do like, I know it's always a trope, overused thing in TV and movies, but like the detective story, I'm down with that. As long as it's good, as long as it's written well, and it's weird. Like I know I mentioned this show a lot. It's one of my favorite ones, Dark. And I always go back to like the writing, and I miss shows that like. I'm not saying you have to be like smart or anything, but I miss shows that really like work your brain in that way. To the point where, it's all the stuff you're seeing could add up to what's going to happen in the next episode, or later on, and those are kind of shows that I'm looking for now. And I don't know how, I don't know what the consensus is. A lot of people still watch The Office, and kind of like just shows you can put on the background. But I'm really into like thinking shows right now, and just shows that really like get you thinking. So me
too.
If
That's
anything,
why I watch Gigolos.
Well, if anything, if this HBO, I feel like they can they've created some really well-known and well-produced TV shows, and I trust it in the hands of HBO. I think it's just where they're going to take the Batman story and what that's going to really play. And if it's just like something to really just get people to watch it, because I felt that way with Watchmen. Like I was like, like why are they doing this Watchmen thing? And then I watched it and I was like, this is great. And then I found out like that's it. Like we're not going to like capitalize on trying to expand the Watchmen universe. We're just going to keep it as it is, and you just go on and have that experience with these episodes. Yeah. So if anything, that's what I hope for this television show. I'll check it out. But you never know. I don't know if it's if it's popular, then they'll probably end up making another season or something. But
absolutely.
We'll see.
The only thing I don't want is having to see the show to understand what's going on in the movie. or vice
Yeah,
versa.
yeah.
I want each thing to be, you can call them connected, but I want them to be their own separate experiences and a complete a complete meal unto itself. You know what I mean? Like I don't
Yeah.
like I
You know,
you
you're
know
right.
saying like, oh, you got to watch Agents of Shield under. No, dude, I'm not doing that. I'm not wasting my life watching an ABC Agents of and hey, it might be very good. I don't know. I've never seen it, but this is what's going on in my brain. I'm not judging you for watching it, and I don't mean you, Sean Day. I mean the proverbial you, the possible listener or viewer. I never mean to offend, but my mouth works a lot faster than this guy, and sometimes I do. So don't take it personally. Anyway, that's all I hope.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're kind of on the same page. If it's good, I'll watch it. If
Yeah.
it's not, I won't. That's very simple.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Jonathan,
Yes.
do you have any lists you'd like to do, or would you like me to ask you some?
I'll go first.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, I've been playing some video games. Been playing that Outer Worlds game. It's very similar like Skyrim. So you collect items, and there's like guns and upgrades and stuff. So I was actually thinking about like some of my favorite video game kind of weapons. And yeah, that's pretty much my top 5 for tonight. So Joey, what are your
Wonderful.
top 5 video game weapons?
I love this top 5. It's very got me thinking.
Got me thinking.
Got me thinking, fam. Let's see. All right. I'm gonna go number 5. The Master Sword, Zelda.
Ooh, Zelda. Yeah.
Yeah. It feels so good when you charge that thing up and then you just yeah, and you spin around and you just cut motherfuckers down. That's a good feeling. It's a very good feeling. So yeah, the Master Sword in Zelda.
Heck yeah.
Which, by the way, that's a missed opportunity. Why didn't they call it a Zord?
The Zord.
It's Zelda. Let them
Yeah.
go with Zord.
Why not?
Jesus.
I think we should rename it. I was going to tell all my friends to play Zelda.
Number 4, I'm going to go the hammer in Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Ooh, man, I'd even consider the Smash Brothers array of weapons.
Well,
That's a smart choice.
I think it's originally from Donkey Kong, but the hammer specifically in Smash Bros. Melee, when somebody got the hammer, if they came near you, you were done for. You're shot off the map. And every time, an item would drop, you would hope it was that. And if it was that and somebody else got to it first, you were hoping you could get on the other side of the map. And whenever you did get the hammer, I don't know about you, I could never control the fucking thing. Like, I was just like,
Yeah.
and I'd wind up falling off the platform myself. But when you did make contact and send somebody flying, special feeling that only that game could give you. Because it is really a smash. It is a melee. It is just chaos.
Chaos. Oh, yeah.
And that was, we got to experience that game the right way. We were all at the right age. We were all like 8th, 7th, 8th grade for it.
Yeah,
And,
dude.
we'd go to each other's houses and bring our controllers and plug in and have our match.
64 days and GameCube too as well.
GameCube, yeah. Yeah, Smash Brothers on the GameCube is my favorite. It's so good.
You make me think of I have it for the Smash Brothers for the Switch, and it's so cool because you can customize like game modes.
Yeah.
And I never thought of that. I should do one with just all hammers, just like that's the only item that appears.
Suicide, fam.
Well, that's so funny. Like you create different ones, and it's like I remember I created one with like all explosives, so it's just like mayhem of just like something item falls down and explodes, and like. But that's the fun part, and the hammer is still one of my favorite items in the game, even on the newest ones or whatever. But that's a good one. I didn't even think of the freaking Smash Brothers games.
It is a good one. Number 3, I'm gonna go with this is usually I would use like the gold PP7, but I'm gonna go with the RCP90.
Ooh,
Yeah. So
it's a
GoldenEye.
cool looking gun too.
Yeah, it's like a submachine gun, and it's got this clip that just curves, and it has a round of 90. So you can shoot 90 times, or you can hold the trigger down for about 10 seconds, like a solid 10 seconds, and this thing is, it sounds just crisp and wonderful, and it holds 90. It's insane, and it fires so fast. It's, I think, the most fun gun to shoot in that game. That's my.
It's the most like futuristic looking one too.
Yeah, it is.
It's a very odd one out of all of them, but it's one of my favorite ones too.
It almost looks like a raptor, something out of Jurassic Park. You know, it's it's got that curve to it. That's just it's more of an organic kind of. I don't know. I'm reaching here.
Yeah.
Number 2, I'm gonna go with the grappling hook from the Arkham Batman series. Because in mid combat you could do, I believe it's L1 and triangle, and you could shoot and pull somebody towards you and either punch them in the face or clothesline them, or if they had somebody that you had to rescue, you could just zoom and pull them back or take their guns away. It was a multifaceted tool, and you could use it to grab other items like Riddler trophies, or pull the casings off of the vents, you know. And it made you feel like Batman.
Batman,
right?
dude, yeah.
Like Arkham City is a Batman simulator. It's amazing. And it makes that perfect sound, and it's just, you're just like, I am
so
Batman.
cool.
And like when, you know, the animation of the character, especially like if you're just standing there and you do it to somebody, you just kind of, and you see the guy go, like a spaz and a half. Yeah, that's a good video game feeling, my friend. Anyway.
Yeah, and you can upgrade it too. Like
you can upgrade it. That's right.
Super cool.
Because you can't always take guns away, right? You have to upgrade it to let it. Yeah.
Don't take weapons away.
Disarming a motherfucker. Number 1.
Ooh, what's your number 1?
I talk about this all the time because it's my favorite game. But Mario's cape in Super Mario World is amazing. Like, yes, you can fly, and the flying mechanics are really just smooth and buttery and wonderful. But you can hit, what is it, like the X button or whatever, and he does it. And
yeah.
he can, you know, anyone who's coming near you, you know, it doesn't kill them, but you can like a Koopa's coming around, it hits them, it knocks them out of their shell, and then you can take their shell and hit them with it. You know what I mean? Like, it's a multifaceted tool, and it's so simple and intuitive, and I love it. I just love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love the range of games too, like generation wise, you have on your list too as well. Like that's super cool.
Thank you.
Nice.
There
like
were
your
some
list,
ones
dude.
that were really difficult to leave off, but
it's funny. You like I had one of them that I think you mentioned, but you didn't put on your list. So for mine, I've got 5, the Hidden Blade from Assassin's Creed. I was always a fan of, like, that was kind of the reason why I play Assassin's Creed, is to get the Hidden Blade. So it's a blade that comes out of your sleeve, and it's pretty cool. It's very essential, very recognizable and essential to the main characters, and I guess the different generations of games they've had with Assassin's Creed. They've had them in every single game, the Hidden Blade or some form of it. So, and it's got this kind of sneaky, because, you know, Assassin's Creed, you're supposed to be an assassin, so it's got like this kind of, you know, kind of stealthy thing about it. So that's my number 5.
hell yeah.
Number 4, I've got the ray gun from the Black Ops series, the zombie mode.
Ooh, look at you.
Yeah, I think this was like the one you get in the mystery box. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
And it was like a one-hit kill gun. Like, it was like the gun you're trying to find this gun for this zombie mode, so you can kill zombies very easily, especially when it gets harder and harder every wave and round. So number 4, the ray gun. Number 3, I have the golden gun, the golden PP7.
The golden PP7, which is much better than the golden gun.
Yeah. And I don't know if I can't remember if I remember they had the man with the golden gun mode on GoldenEye 64, but I think that was the regular golden gun, right, in there? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah. That's more like a square casing with a handle on it.
From like kind of like the movie. But yeah, that was kind of one of the cool things about GoldenEye, you kind of could get unlock these different versions of the guns, and the golden PP7 was pretty cool. And there was like other gold versions, right? Like the
well, there's the
like
silver PP7. So there was the golden
silver
gun,
yeah,
the gold PP7, and the silver PP7.
that's right.
And I would actually lump the Magnum in with those as well.
Yeah,
Because the Magnum could shoot through doors. And people.
dude.
If you could line up a bunch of dudes, you could shoot right through them and kill all of them.
That,
This is
that
a very
was probably
violent sounding podcast, but we
Well, it's just funny because especially for these earlier games, like that was so cool to have. Like, oh my god, I unlocked this. You know, it's like almost like a hack or a cheat or you know, it was like a trophy.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Did
like
you
were
have
able
a
to-
Game Shark?
I did, and I remember doing it. I think I unlocked like. That's why I think you can do different versions of the golden gun if you had this Game Shark. Where you can have like I think any gun in the game you can make gold or something. It was
Wait,
like a ridiculous.
really?
Yeah, I don't know. I
That's
feel
wild.
like that's what was one of them, but
I know you can do like paintball.
paintball mode. There was DK
That's
mode.
fun. DK mode is fun.
Ooh, that'll be an interesting top 5 like game hacks or like cheats or something. Oh, we should do that.
Ooh,
Top 5
okay.
cheats or something.
I'm into that.
It's probably gonna be all GTA stuff, but
My fingers still know Vice City cheats. Like I couldn't do it, but
yeah.
my fingers know it. Same with Tony
Embedded.
Hawk. Oh man.
ooh, I wonder if they're gonna have cheats for the Tony Hawk game, the new one. Or the
Oh
remake
man, I
version.
hope. That'd be so
That'd be
cool.
so dope.
It'd be symbolics if they didn't.
I feel like dude,
They
that'd
have
be so
to
awesome.
include
if they did.
that.
Oh, I'm so excited for that game.
Me too.
All right, so we got the
September can't come
golden.
soon enough.
Yeah. So we got the golden PP7 for 3. Number 2, I've got the Fire Flower in Mario. So I did have a Mario
Oh.
weapon of some sort. It's cool because when you get the item, Mario turns. He has like this white overalls, and he can shoot little flaming fire flowers at enemies, and it was cool. It was like, you know, it was expanding kind of Mario's powers and it's a pretty effective weapon, I would say. And yeah, and he would like spin around too. He would spin around and shoot like fireballs and stuff. So yeah, super fun.
That was always it's a good one. And it makes that
Yeah.
kind of sound.
The sound effects for the weapons too. That's another
Yeah.
thing too. And then I have for number 1, I did play this game a while back, but I remember this was one of my favorite experiences with this weapon. It was the gravity gun in Half-Life 2, which I think the Portal games, because I think they were made by the same people, Portal, they kind of were inspired or grew out of this particular gun, and it was pretty much a gun based on the name. You can pretty much pick up any item like that's, you know, around in the map and like hold it and weaponize it and shoot it at the enemy. And you can even grab like people and stuff in the game too. And
That's fun.
yeah, it was super cool for like when that game came out, and it was kind of revolutionary in a way of like, oh, this is what weapons can, you know, this is what you can do with physics and like in games and stuff like that. So, and I feel like I just saw the, funny enough, Half-Life, the Steam, the guys who created, what do you call it? Half-Life 2 and all those guys, they released a VR game just recently called Half-Life Alyx.
That's
I
right.
think.
Yeah.
And I saw some video. It looks super dope, but they have like a gravity glove version of it in this game. So I was like, oh, that's super cool. They were able to kind of take kind of the spirit of the gravity gun. But yeah, it was super fun. And they had a mod called Gary's Mod where it was like a kind of build your own stuff. And the gravity gun was the main gun, so you can build and move things around in the world. And
Did
yeah.
Gary's mod got it going on?
he's got it going on. Gary's got it going
Gary's
on.
mod has got it going on.
on.
R.I.P. R.I.P.
Yes. But yeah, that's my list.
It's
Quite
a
a
very
lot.
good list, Shawnee. It's a
I
very
love
good
our
list.
Mario and like 007 kind of mashup there. That was
They
kind of cool.
had to be on this list.
And honestly, those are kind of our first like I mean, I wouldn't say Mario is like a first-person shooter, but like those were our first experiences with those kind of games, right? You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, absolutely.
for shooters, it was GoldenEye. I felt like GoldenEye, and that was the game that really introduced us to those types of games. And yeah, their weapons are becoming so different and interesting in video games these days, which is pretty cool. So I'm glad like other games and other gaming studios are pushing the envelope. Especially the Half-Life one, just going off his predecessor and like expanding on that a little bit more.
Hell
So,
yeah.
yeah,
That's very good. It was a good list. I enjoyed
Good
thinking
list,
about
y'all.
that.
Yeah. Joey, what's your list for this week, dude?
So I haven't really been like watching much, or so I was kind of like, well, what? I'm looking for inspiration of what can I ask you, and so if you saw our last week's show, I debuted my typewriters. I've got one in the shop right now, down in Los Altos. Yeah, I dropped it off on Saturday. I'm very excited. But it got me thinking, like, we're surrounded by dead technology, and I think you and me especially are kind of, we're deadheads in that sense. We like dead technology or obsolete technology. So, Jonathan Day, what are your top 5 favorite pieces of dead tech?
Dead tech.
Dead tech.
All right. So
2020.
I've got. Oh no, man, it's tough because it's weird because some tech is there's like having a resurgence. You know what I mean? So I got a few on here. Some of them I feel like just out of nostalgia, I would say. So I had number 5, AIM, Instant Messenger, for AOL,
Oh, look at you.
which I feel like for our generation was kind of I mean, obviously with AOL and the internet dial-up, it was our first experience with like messaging via the internet, and
That was pre-texting. Like, we had
Pre-texting.
AIM before we had
Exactly.
texting.
yeah, that we had we had our own instant messenger names, and we had like kind of our own
Bios
identities, bios, and all sorts
Remember
of
the
shit.
BRB? You could have like your away message
Yeah.
go up and everything.
And that's the thing is like some of the short hand language that is in today's texting community or culture, it kind of came from a lot of these earlier messaging systems, and it was cool. It was a way to like start getting to like hang out with your friends on the internet, and like I remember I used it. I wanted to talk to like a girl I liked. Like it's just like it was an interesting experience especially for us at that age. And unfortunately, it's just not. I feel I still have an AOL account, but I don't use it. It's one of my recovery accounts, like an email recovery. But
oh, damn.
yeah, I mean,
That's wild. That's wild
I
that you
feel
still have
like-
that.
I feel like they still have a form of that, but
I think they retired AIM officially last year.
oh, they did.
I
Okay.
believe they did.
That's
I could
crazy.
be wrong about that. You might want to fact check me, but
Oh yeah, I'll
I'm
look that
never
up.
wrong.
Excuse me, but yeah, that was like a big piece of technology that came out. That was, I feel like, very revolutionary for communicating across the internet, and it makes me think of obviously those times when we were younger and talking to people on there, and then I guess the kind of the early stages of the internet community, and I mean there was
time.
like there was like all sorts of weird forum chats and stuff you could go to, and
Zanga?
Zanga, like
We had
yeah,
Zanga.
there's a lot
What
of
do you guys
interesting
know about Zanga? Zanga was a MySpace precursor, man.
precursor, dude. Yeah,
By the way, Instant Messenger died as of December 15th, 2017.
wow. So a few years now,
Yeah.
man. I do miss that. I'm trying to remember I think my AIM name was Burning Flame 07. That was mine.
I think it was Burning Flame 07. Mine was Snooch2D MF Nooch.
Oh man, yeah, I miss that. But
Burning
now
flame.
I guess these days, it's the form of texting, and there's other messenger type services or apps out there now, which is kind of weirdly enough, kind of the same thing these days. I have different kind of apps I use now to like communicate with people. But it's crazy how far that has gone, and probably owe it a lot to AIM for kind of
it was
a lot
just
of
about everything.
yeah, for a lot of communication on the internet. So yeah, that
Let
was a
me
big
ask you this:
yeah.
do you still do messaging and stuff on your computer, or is it all done on phone now?
This year it's interesting. I've been using WhatsApp, and unfortunately for me, I'm a Samsung user, so fortunate enough for me, it's the best way to get like video and images, like clear images sent to Apple users. It's a good way to do it. But I actually just downloaded the WhatsApp on my desktop, so I'm able to answer messages on my computer if I'm at my computer. So it's funny. I've kind of revisited that format of doing it, so I could just kind of do everything, especially if I'm working on something or whatever. And I know Apple, I think, has their version of like their Messenger stuff on the for their computer apps. So I do like still having it in front of me on the computer because if I'm typing away and it's easy to kind of do stuff like there, or if you spend a lot of time at your computer. So it's kind of funny, like when I think about that stuff, and it's like, holy shit, like that's kind of like where it where it started or where it was, and the necessity of I like that kind of being able to check my phone and have the same messages on my computer. So. But now it's all, you could just do it from the palm of your hand now and
It's on my mobile.
on my mobile phone.
Hello.
So yeah, that's pretty much what my 5. I feel like it should be higher up because that was, now that I think about it, it's kind of like, it's changed a lot of communication these days. So number 4, I've got the portable CD player.
Yes.
Yeah, man, I had a Sony CD player for a minute and
They were the best ones.
yeah, I mean that's CD players. I mean there was a lot of there's Walkmans and tape players, and I guess I'm pulling from more like when I guess our generation, and we grew up with the introduction of MP3s and CDs and digitizing music, and I had a CD player before streaming was a thing, or before we had other the iPods, like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's obviously a predecessor to like digital portable music players. And for CDs, it was I recorded stuff on tape, but I also made like mixtapes on my CDs, and it was just so cool to like be able to take music you like and put it into a little mixtape on a CD player. And it was very bulky for sure. But I do miss having that experience. It's very similar to vinyl records, and like sitting down and listening to a CD, and I think there's something very unique about that experience, and that's why I put it on here. So
You were making a choice when you put that thing in. Right?
Exactly.
Like you were
Exactly.
going to be listening to the thing for maybe the whole thing. Like it wasn't, I'm going to skip around and listen to this and then this and then like that was it.
Those mediums, vinyl, tape players, like it, you have that intention of listening and spending time with what you're listening to. So it's like,
we don't have that today.
So yeah, it's CD players for 4. What I got here? I'm gonna go. I guess. What did I write here? Okay, number 3, I put phone book. Who uses phone books these days?
You missed the phone book quite fondly? Wow.
I mean,
I just switched those
guess,
2 consonants. Did you hear that? That was wild.
I mean, I guess I went into this top 5 kind of seeing like, oh, what are kind of things that like I've been replaced, but phone books are interesting. I don't know. Like I feel like they're useless now because you can just literally search it up these days. But I don't know. There was something about kind of looking for like a business, or I don't know, whatever. Super random, but like I remember like I used to use a phone book like when I was growing up, and if you wanted to know where like your local music store, it was like pre-internet. Like, oh, your local business. Now you could just type it into Google and
When was that?
know where it is.
Did that really ever happen? Was there really never an internet?
I mean, part of our lives. Part of our lives. That's a whatever one. Number 2.
Well, whatevers.
I put VHS. Maybe I'll you know what? I'll cut out the phone book because it's not. Yeah, I don't really have a good deep attachment to it. So I'm gonna go instead of the phone book. I'm gonna go number 3. I'm gonna go. I guess it'd be tape machines because I guess relating to like music, I do. I don't own a tape player machine myself, but there is an interest. It's just kind of like vinyl. It's a interesting way sound can get captured, and a lot of people have said tape players just give you a different type of sound, like sonically, and it's because there's a lot of different sound physics going on there, but it's way different than digital and compressed music these days. And,
how would you compare it to like CDs in terms of quality?
I think it's there's a lot of different words you can like warm and kind of more like organic, I would say, but it and especially with when people made music onto tape, it was literally like you only had so many takes to do it. You had so many chances to, so it obviously merited a lot of great performers and bands and artists, and I think that was very interesting about that, being able to capture that that kind of energy and kind of music on there. And these days, it's very easy to kind of record stuff, and the quality is somewhat okay, but it's a weird thing because we only can hear so much as an average listener too. You can only hear so much of a difference, but there's something about tape that, like, if when you even hear it, and especially for specific instruments like a band, like a drummer or like a guitar player, it just really brings out some other frequencies.
It's like shooting on film.
Exactly. There's other things, and even if it is old and degraded a little bit more, that degradation and that kind of that sound is very sought after, especially in today's kind of digital domain. So yeah, let's do that for 3.
Wonderful.
2, I got VHS. Grew up watching. That was kind of like my movies. I watched movies on VHS. That was our thing. We didn't have streaming or any of that stuff, and it's very similar to music, very similar to vinyls. When you got that VHS, you got the whole thing. You got the artwork and the movie, artwork, and it came in a very interesting plastic box or a paper box.
I had most of the paper slip cases myself.
Yeah, and that was the thing too. It was a very collector. You get really excited, and then that brings us to like Blockbuster and like rental type services back in the day, and being excited to watch movies and get excited to get the copy of this movie, and it was a shared thing, something you would share with friends and like watch a movie of VHS at a friend's house. So and then these days, just like, hey, have you seen the show? Like. That, I think it goes along with the experiences also of like when you use this stuff, and I thought VHS is especially pre Laserdisc and pre DVD. It's like it's crazy to think like that's how we watch movies, and we had to like rewind and physically rewind, just like.
And then when you rented it, it always came with the sticker "Be Kind, Rewind."
Yeah, like I kind of miss. Weirdly enough, I kind of miss that kind of stuff. Or yeah,
if you wanted to pace yourself, I'll never forget being in Twain Hart on vacation, and me and my brother watched Army of Darkness on VHS, and it ended, and we were like, "You want to watch that again?" "Yeah, I want to watch that again." And we had to sit there for 10 minutes as the tape rewound, and then we watched it again. Like you had to want to do that.
Yeah,
like you would never do that today. Who would?
Never. You would just end up skipping through or going on to the next show or movie,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, VHS, and then number 1 is the vinyl records. We've talked about vinyl a bunch on the show. It's kind of having obviously a resurgence over the last few years. And again, it's the experience, being able to sit down and really dive into the music, listen and look at the artwork and the notes and it was a whole thing. It was a whole experience altogether. And comparing to today, I feel like a lot of bands are embracing kind of bringing back vinyl and giving that experience back to fans and listeners. And I think that's still one of the things that unfortunately it is somewhat dead as far as, but at the same time, I feel like it's coming back. There's people who are printing vinyl specifically for their music they release. And it's one of probably I would say the oldest technologies that I probably have in my room right now.
Oh yeah,
And
big
I
time.
have some records probably from the 50s, 60s or some shit. So yeah, so vinyl records, and of course both Joe and I, we love collecting vinyls, and we were just talking before the show like about places to find them. So yeah,
Yeah.
that is my five.
It's a very good list. It should come as no surprise that we share number one. Over the last 10 years, vinyl records. Here, Marty slurping his water. He might do this later. He drank so much he chokes on it. We'll see if he does it. He'll be able to hear it. So yeah, over the last 10 years, vinyl records became just very important to us. I remember like early days of Amazon, right? Early days of having an iPhone and seeing Weezer's Pinkerton Special Edition. It's a 4 vinyl set. I didn't even have a record player, but I was like, I need that. And I ordered it, and it forced me to get a record player, or I got one for my birthday, like it coincided, whatever the fuck. And kind of off to the races ever since. It's that not only are you getting to collect something, not only is it kind of old and cool and vintage, it literally is the best version of what that could be. Like, streaming all that stuff, yeah, you might not really notice it, if you're just casually listening, but if you really kind of pay attention, you're going to hear that difference, like that warmth that you were talking about with the tape. Like, it makes a world of difference. And what I really love is when for instance, I got a really beaten up copy of Help. I bought it off Discogs, which I was telling you about, because I wanted a mono version of the UK pressing. That was very important to me. Because the American Help is much different. The tracks are all different listed, and some songs appear that don't, and vice versa. And I get it, and I open it, and I throw it on, and the first song, Help, just sounds so beaten. It sounds like the sound is just so blunt. You know what I mean? And there's no sharpness to it whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I was a little bummed out, but then the rest of the record plays on, and it sounds perfect. To me, I was able to be like, the previous owner just loved Help so much, and maybe this helped them through a time in their life. You know what I mean? Like, but they wore this fucking record out, and like the record has life, and it's beautiful. Like so that's a whole other level to it that you don't get buying new records. Like, I want to go in, I want to smell that weird cardboard smell and just dive in and find something with a weird cover, or like, oh shit, this is they got this but for only $5. Why, like, come on. And it just looks cool. You know what I mean? Like, people that didn't grow up with record players look at it and be like, how do you work that thing? And I was very much the same way. It takes a second to be like, oh, okay, it's just start and stop. And, if you got a 45, you press this button and flip this switch. It's whatever. But people look at you like you're a fucking magician. And it's very cool. I don't know.
It's very
I love
very
vinyl.
cool.
I love vinyl. It's just, it makes me feel good. Anyway, so we share number one. Clearly, obviously. I'm going to go right back down to number 5 and just say, yeah, the typewriter. I talked a lot about the typewriter last week. You can go back and listen to episode 188. And if you want to watch it on YouTube, you get to see what my spoils, my prizes. But yeah, typewriters are just cool. I've always been fascinated by them as a person who likes to write. And you really do get into just a different mood when you're sitting in front of a typewriter and you hear those tuck, 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 tuck. It unlocks a different part of your brain than when you're typing on a computer screen, or even writing in a journal or notebook.
Yeah.
It's very unique unto itself, and it's very much like a vinyl where you have to load the paper in. You have to physically put the paper in and get the ink, and you know what I mean. Like you're involved in every part of the process. It's pretty cool. It's very hands on. I've had a lot of ink on my fingers the past couple days, and I've loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Loved it. Loved it.
Number 4, I put Walkman, but yeah, it was a Sony CD player. It might have been a Walkman branded. I don't know. But the big thing for me was that they wouldn't skip, because I had a dog, Mia, the black lab. You remember her. You were scared of her. But I would walk her every single night around the neighborhood, and I would have my CD player. This is the reason I keep my phone in my left pocket, is because back then, if I even took my phone with me, the CD player was more important. Music was always more important. So I had to have jeans with pockets that could accommodate
The
CD player.
Yeah.
Number 1, the CD player would go in my right pocket because it was most important. Number 2, good. I would have to have wraparound headphones because I don't want to screw up my beautiful locks. But yeah, so the CD player, I would choose a CD, go into my CD player, go into my pocket. I'd walk the dog. And if I had a couple really good CD players that didn't skip at all, just wonderful.
Yeah.
And this was such a big problem. If you were out running around or walking with this thing, you either had to hold it or suffer major skippage, unless you had one that really didn't skip. And I had a couple that were really good. I had one that was really good. And of course, they become casualty just falling on the floor or something, and then they don't work anymore. And it's very heartbreaking. Because it really does, it's at least for me, I had, kind of the relationship with my CD player like I do my phone, right? I feel a little naked without it now. I do so much on it, and I was always listening to something, and especially, at that age when we're just getting into doing like the band and stuff like that, and you're studying. You're not just listening; you are studying, and practicing. I would sing out loud as I walked the dog, and it was dark out in the neighborhood, and I was doing that shit, and I was an asshole.
There's another thing I realized too with, and I guess it'd be similar with vinyl as well, is track listing. Like I felt like I got to know, if I had a CD, like, we were talking about Mark, Tom, and Travis show, and like I could tell you like off the top of my head what that song, what track it was, or you really got to know the music, and oh yeah, track number 7, I love that, like that track's awesome, and being familiar with the album or whatever mixtape you put together, I thought that was an interesting experience, and I guess it goes back to like vinyl and tape players, being very familiar with what you're listening to, and you kind of favor specific tracks or whatever, and
Definitely.
these days it's just like liking songs and like going back to your playlists, and it's kind of all over the place these days.
It's not as a tactile experience. It's not. It's recyclable. It's throwaway.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I listened to this one morning and I don't remember it at all, and I never went back to it. You know what I mean? If I'm out on a walk nowadays, I can choose anything. Back then, I was stuck with the one CD that I chose to bring with me. And if I was out longer than that CD, I was listening to it again.
Oh yeah.
And I still listen a lot of stuff, even today. But if I'm out on a walk and I try a new record, chances are I'm itching to get to something that I know, and I'm gonna jump off that thing. But back then, I had no other choice. If I got a new record and threw it on, I was stuck with that thing. Different. Number 3, I have, they're sharing a slot, but VHS and DVD.
Okay.
So yeah, growing up, with VHSs, the thing about VHS is they did not come with special features. They sort of kind of did near the end there after the credits if you knew to fast forward. But DVDs were a whole other world, not to mention how crisp of a freaking picture they were in 480p. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, 480p? Where VHS you could see the tape kind of stretch or whatever. There was none of that kind of blemish on a DVD. unless you like went over to the road and like dragged it against the concrete, then it might skip. But really, your DVDs should have been, for the most part, pretty okay. And it was right after my birthday in 8th grade. I had all my birthday money, and I was the first person in my family. I'm so proud of this. First person in my family to buy a DVD player, and I bought Army of Darkness, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and the Clerks animated series. Those were my first DVDs. And I just remember throwing it on and being just blown away by the picture quality. Just absolutely stunned, because a movie like Army of Darkness that I watched on VHS, I don't know how many times. Suddenly you throw it on DVD for the first time and you're like, whoa.
Whoa. Yeah.
I can see that now. I can see the dirt on his face, everything. And, Blu-ray took it to a new level, and we could debate whether Blu-ray is dead technology yet. It's on its way out. It's on life support for sure. But DVDs were a big deal, and DVDs were collectible in a way that VHSs, I don't think, were. They always had like the single disc or the dual disc special edition director's cut.
Special dish.
And really, I credit a lot of wanting to become a filmmaker and being fascinated by that world with DVDs, with the special features on Saving Private Ryan, and Spielberg talking about, they included these featurettes which were new. I would just have my friends run. We'd put a plank under some dirt, and if he stepped on this part of the plank, it would throw dirt up like that, like he was getting shot at, and I just needed a shaky cam. I'm like, you're getting all these ideas, and especially like Jurassic Park. I learned this when I was like 11 or 12. Like the scene where they're in the Jeep with the T-Rex out in the rain, and you see the cup of water and the rings in the water first, right? Mm-hmm. Spielberg was like, I want this visual, figure out how to make it happen. And everyone was stumped. And this guy goes, it was a long day at the office. We were trying to figure this thing out. We couldn't figure it out. I go home, I'm just beat. And I look at my acoustic guitar, and I flip it over, and I put a cup of water on it, and I just plucked a string, and that got the ring. So they built these strings underneath the Jeep, underneath the console, and they pluck these strings, and that is what's making the ring in the water. And it's little things like that just fascinated me beyond belief with movie making, and I wouldn't have had that access to that kind of information or detail if it wasn't for DVDs. Mm-hmm. So DVDs played a huge part of my life. I still have all of them. Had to get rid of the boxes when I moved, which was just heartbreaking, because I would buy DVDs just for the box art.
The box art, yeah.
So that was a bummer. I have the movies though, even though I don't want to watch them now because they're 480p. Who needs that shit? I got 1080p up here, man. Yeah, I got 4K. I got a 4K Apple TV. Anyway, still nice to have physical media. Number 2. I don't think this is dead technology by any stretch of the imagination. I just don't see anyone buying them anymore or doing anything with them. But video cameras or camcorders. We have our phone to record video with now, and it shoots in 4K. Why would I go out and spend an extra chunk and carry around an extra piece of hardware? I know why, but am I going to? Nah. I'd rather have it all be compact and together in one thing. Along with DVDs, getting a video camera in Christmas or in 6th grade on Christmas was just, it opened up my world. And back then we had it would record onto a tiny VHS tape about yay big, and then you had a bigger VHS tape with a little window. And you'd open up the window, you'd flip that open, you'd throw the little VHS in there so it could play in a VCR. And what I would do is we would record on the weekends, you, me, and a bunch of our friends. And I would take 2 VCRs and I would plug them together. I would figure out, okay, this AV into there, this into the TV, blah, 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 blah. It was complicated back then. And then I'd have a blank VHS in one VCR and then our tape in another. And I would just record onto the other VHS tape, the blank VHS tape, in the order that I wanted and leave off whatever I wanted to leave off. That was editing. That was my editing system. If 12-year-old Joey had Final Cut Pro, he would have an Oscar today. Facts.
Facts, dudes.
But yeah, so the video camera changed my life. And then, you go from that to high 8 to mini DV to just
mini
the
DV,
little card, the SD card. It's just, and that was kind of the hardest thing, was keeping up with, because every time they didn't have a great lifespan. They would last a year, maybe two, and by the time they were done, the technology had advanced, and
Yeah, this becomes obsolete.
it becomes obsolete. So I miss those days. I still miss holding a camera like this. I wish this is not this. You know what I mean? And this is, you do not get as smooth of a, you have to really like this. Yeah, I miss that, man. But yeah. And then, of course,
that.
one vinyl records. But yeah, so that's my top 5 dead tech.
I love how we both attached it to like kind of obviously our personal attachments to those items, and like how, especially for you as someone who is into film and just kind of the development of that throughout your life, like those dead technologies really did add to who you are and the stuff that you're obviously passionate about and into. And I think it's crazy. Like, yeah, this whole top 5 kind of let me reflect back, and like, you got to think like, man, like, it's interesting. We grew up kind of like where the internet, especially with the internet, like when it was kind of just starting, and you think about like the generations today and kids who are, maybe getting into filmmaking or whatever. And, there's tons of tools, especially your phone these days, but it's being able to like take that technology and really like learn about it and see what you like about it. And as funny as it sounds when we say this list and like stuff that like how, and it's just crazy because it's within our lifetime. It's not this technology. It's not been like hundreds of years or whatever, but
it's incredible how much has gone away.
Yeah,
and how much of it is all right in here. Like,
yeah,
that's insane.
And honestly, it's the accessibility now. It's great. I mean, I favor a lot of the tech these days because it's, especially with like recording. Like now, I mean, a lot of people could record now if they have a computer or even their phones with like GarageBand on it. Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of, obviously there have been a lot of beneficial things, towards these advances, but I agree with like, we were talking about just CDs and vinyls. It's having that physical, tangible thing that you can have that experience with. It's just a different experience when you get to hold it in your hand and smell it or whatever, like I think it's, and I think that's definitely something that these generations are missing out on as everything gets digitized, and the value of something. And I don't know if it's the same these days. You can have value in files or whatever, but it's different. Like it's a different experience. And funny enough, that's why I've been getting into vinyls recently, like more often, because it's like, oh wow, I get excited to get this and go to a shop or and look at the notes and whatever. And the same can be said for like books. Like,
yeah, I almost put books down as a dead technology. I hope they're not just yet. I hope we do not view them as dead tech just yet.
There's still that experience of holding a physical book versus a digital one. So it's
I can't concentrate on a digital.
It's going to be interesting, and it's going to be kind of up to like obviously the next generations, and then I guess our generation, and like being able to keep those old technologies alive, or at least conserve them somehow. And if when we have kids or whatever, like of course I'll say like, oh yeah, there was a time when all this stuff was like physical and you had to, you only had one thing to watch or whatnot, and but also,
I want to set my house up so it's only got this kind of technology, and this kid is going to have to learn. And then they're going to go over to other kids' houses, and the parents will be
Why do we have
speaking into the
this?
wall, and they'll be like, "What? What?
Well, I mean,
You have to.
I
You
feel-
don't have to flip the switch to make the light go on. What?
I think that's gonna be a very interesting, especially for us in our time, and then as years go by, it is scary to think, right? Because it's like some of the stuff,
Oh, yeah, big time,
is
big
dead.
time.
Like it's not going to be talked about, and eventually it'll just cease to exist. So, but I don't know. For me, it's a mixture, right? I embrace a lot of technology these days, but also I really like, again, the kind of the feeling of being able to physically do that or whatever. So it's an interesting topic to talk about these days, because it's like, yeah, some of this stuff is just not going to be around, and people, it will just cease to exist. And luckily we have the internet and documents on documenting these parts of history, so it's going to be very interesting. But I don't know, we'll see what happens. We'll see.
I like it.
Yeah.
Cha, cha.
Cha, y'all.
Jonathan,
Yes.
do you have anything you'd like to share with our dear, sweet, lovely imaginary audience this week?
Share.
Share.
Nothing too crazy right now, dude. Man, yeah, what? I'll probably have a better thing to share. Joey, off air, I mentioned a few vinyl, online vinyl dealers that I could go to. So I'm going to check those out this week. So maybe I'll
Hell yeah.
let you guys know how my experience is for the next show.
Wonderful.
Other than that, that's pretty much it, dude. I don't got much to share. I'm kind of in a rut with like what to watch lately, and so I don't have any movie, video, TV show.
Fam, you got so much stuff that I've
recommendations.
recommended that are
I know,
free right now.
And I'm taking, I'm gonna try to like just sit down and watch all that.
You
stuff.
watched Parasite, right?
Watch Parasite.
Okay. Have you watched Lighthouse?
Not watched Lighthouse. Not watched
It's on Amazon.
18. Oh god, I can't say.
1917. It's very
1917.
good. I have
Yeah.
it. I would lend it to you, but I can't because it's digital.
And actually, I guess this is kind of interesting thing that I noticed about myself, though. Is like, my attention span is just all over the place now.
Mine is too. Mine is terrible.
And I would attribute it to technology and all the stuff that is available for us these days. And, like, it's great. We have all this stuff at our hands, but at the same time, it's like, God, there's so many choices. But I am going to I'm going to watch those eventually. And, I would definitely like to talk about it on the show. And, yeah, but that's pretty much it. I don't have much going for it right now. Maybe I'll just let you guys know how my vinyl shopping goes for next week. So,
Yes, I recommended Discogs, Siren Records in Monterey, and Tunnel Records in San Francisco. So
yeah, Frisco.
Those are some good shops.
I'm going to have to, support the local shops in Frisco. So,
that sounds good.
but yeah, man. Well, yeah, have anything to share this week as well?
I am going to share a YouTube channel that I just discovered. I like history. I really love learning. History fascinates me, especially like American history. Although it's being a little reframed in my mind right now with everything going on in the world. But I found this YouTube channel called Oversimplified, and I might be late to the game on this, but basically it's they kind of do little animation, and it's called like the Civil War Oversimplified. And it's just this guy narrating, and they do it as almost a cartoon. It's humorous. Like they can take a subject as dark or whatever as the Civil War, and they just kind of do and you learn. Like the name says, it's an oversimplification, but you get the main bullet points of what happened and why it happened. So if you like history, if you like learning, I would suggest that.
Okay, oversimplify it. All right.
Yeah. So
like
I dig it. I dig it. They're well edited. They're well put together. Yeah. I don't know. That's all I
like
got.
it. There's some new YouTube channels to check out.
You know? Why not, man?
Why not?
Why not? Jonathan, I got one more pressing question for you before we head out on the old trail.
Pressing question?
Where can we find more of your work on the internet this week, my friend?
Oh, okay. You guys can find me Instagram at Sean Day Music. On my website, seandaymusic.net. Joe, where can we find you on the internet?
You can check me out on Twitter at Joey Parody and on my website, joeyparodyscripts.com. You can check out the show at Top5Pod. That's TOPFIVE5POD on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube, at Gmail, and on Facebook at Top 5 Podcast. We're on Apple Music, Google Play, and SoundCloud. So please give us a like, give us a listen, give us a follow, give us your love, and we will give you, Jonathan,
all the I don't know, man.
Every week.
I'm terrible at this, guys. All the extra sex effects love this week, I would say. How about that?
I'll allow it. Sure. Yeah, all that too.
I'll think of a better one next week.
Until next time, I'm Joey Pride.
And I'm Sean Day. Thanks for listening.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.